Hello and welcome everyone, my name is Dragan, and in this course I'm gonna teach you how to create your own iOS game for App Store. So the important thing to know is if you create a game for iOS, you can always rebuild that game for Android, and otherwise if you create a game for Android you can always build a game from the start for iOS. So it doesn't really matter, right? What we can always also name this course Android and iOS game development course, but the crucial thing that you need to know is that you need to have Unity installed. So as you can see, I'm using Unity 5.5 to F1 version, which is basically the Unity 5.5. So the reason I'm using Unity is because Unity is probably the most complete and advanced game developing engine that you can see today, and I really prefer using it because it provides with many assets, functions and effects that I use in my own games. So sometimes I don't have to use assets at all because Unity provides me with all of them. So what we're gonna make is we're gonna make a ColorSwitch game. ColorSwitch is a really awesome mini game that made hundreds of millions and has hundreds of millions downloads on every possible store, starting from Windows Store to App Store to Android Store, Play Store, and etc. So it's really good to start with. So I'm gonna explain you how to make exactly the same game as a ColorSwitch game, because we're gonna only create it in educational purposes, but this is a really good place to start because this is what actually people want, what people want to buy. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna open Unity. And while we open Unity, we're gonna create a new project. So right now we know what our game is. Our game is gonna be the ColorSwitch. So ColorSwitch looks like this. So if we play it, we need to tap to jump. So while I'm tapping this ball, it has its own gravity modifier. So every time I don't click, it starts falling down. Every time I click, it starts climbing. This is really easy to implement. I'm gonna show you how. And this is a really good app. So we're gonna create exactly the same app as this one. So I'm gonna close this window and we're gonna start a 2D game. Okay, and we're gonna name it ColorSwitch. So, and we're just gonna hit create a project. You can always download Unity from its site for free, and I'm using free versions for educational purposes also because many of my students also have free versions, so I'm kind of trying to adapt. So right now we have this is our default window. This is what Unity provides you with when you open it. So it's pretty much it. This is where all of that starts. So we're just gonna click this inspector tab so we have in mind what we're clicking on. And right now in our window right there in hierarchy, we only have main camera. So what we're gonna need in future is gonna be player, it's gonna be levels, it's gonna be level assets, how everything changes through time, how everything changes through some effect. And that's pretty much it for this introduction video. In next video I'm gonna show you how to color your background to the same color that ColorSwitch has and how to create a player. So thank you very much for watching and see you next video. Hello, welcome back guys on our lecture on how to create an iOS game. So basically what we're going to create is going to be a ColorSwitch game, and as we already seen, the ColorSwitch game has kind of gray background. So what we're going to do now, we're just going to click this main camera and we're going to change the background color. The basic and the default color that Unity provides us with is this kind of bluish color of background. So we're going to just go to this hierarchy, click main camera, and we're gonna go to the right side of the monitor and we're gonna go to inspector tab and click background in camera. So we're just gonna drag this to be a kind of grayish. Okay, this is fine. We're just gonna leave this color, and this is what we kind of need for start. We need to change the background color. So you always need to start from core. You need to understand what you want in your game. So the first thing that every game has is player and background. So right now we have colored and created our background, and the great thing that we see right here is that we don't need any additional assets for creating this game background. We only need our basic and default Unity assets that we already have provided us with. So right now we're gonna create a player. So the player in ColorSwitch game, as we have seen already, is is a dot. It's just some kind of small circle, some small circle that has some certain jump force, and when you click it or hit space, it's gonna go up, and if we don't re-click it, it's gonna start falling down by gravity modifier, etc. So what we're gonna create a 2D object, and we're gonna select sprite. Right now we're gonna rename this sprite to, for example, player, and we're gonna just we're gonna set the shape of this sprite. So right now we have nothing in the sprite renderer tab. You see there is nothing selected, so we're gonna just double click this sprite here, and we're gonna use knob. So knob is this small circle that is white colored, and we're just gonna leave it to be white colored right now so we can change its color by time later. So as we can see, this knot is really small right now, so I'm gonna increase its size by 2. So I'm gonna set scale to be 2, and you can always change the scale in transform tab by any scale you want. And I'm just not gonna do anything with this set tab, because I don't need to change this axis, as we're creating a 2D game, and which has only 2 axes, which is this X and Y. So if you're creating a 2D game, you only can manipulate, really, that only important manipulation is with these 2 axes, X and Y. So this is pretty much it for now. In next lecture, I'm going to show you how to program your own player and how to get movement to this circle so it has some really nice and smooth movement, as Flappy Bird has, as ColorSwitch has, and many other games that run smoothly and give you satisfaction as you tap or click some button. Thank you for watching, and see you next video. Hello, welcome back in our lecture how to create an iOS game. So in this lecture I'm going to show you how to create a movement from a game like ColorSwitch of Flappy Bird that actually has a smooth transition between jump pressing. So every time you press a certain button that is assigned for jump, you're gonna have a smooth transition between jumps, and you're gonna have a jump that really goes to the y-axis, so it goes to the top and falls down, affected by gravity modifier. So first thing we need to do when creating this one is we're gonna create a standard C# script, player script. So we're gonna go to hierarchy, click player, go to the inspector tab and add component. So we're gonna just enter player, new script, and create an add. So what we're gonna get right now is a standard script that Unity provides us with. So any script that you make by any name, you're gonna get this skeleton of code. So first thing we're gonna do using this skeleton code is we're gonna initialize our variables. So first thing we need to initialize, right here, you have already commented here what you need to initialize, is gonna be the jump force. So jump force is, it's basically how strong and what is the force of the certain jump, what is the height of the jump. So we're gonna enter public float jump force equals to 10f. 10f is a standard variable for jump force. For example, 10f is every jump used in every game that has a smooth transition between jumps and has that nice jump that gives you the real feel of satisfaction. So 10f is pretty fine. We're gonna leave it that way. And the next thing we're gonna initialize is gonna be public rigid body 2D circle. So this is the rigid body of our circle and our player circle 2D sprite that we're using in our game. So this is pretty much it for initialization. And next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna set some conditions. So if I type if input dot get button down, and if I set jump, what this actually means is that if you press space, something is gonna happen. And I'm gonna set one more condition, input dot get mouse button down, and I'm gonna set this to 0, and I'm just gonna close all brackets. And now I'm gonna write a condition. So what this one means is input get button down is when you press space, it's gonna jump, and if you click left click, it's gonna jump. So input get mouse button down 0 is always the left click, and that's how it stands for and what it stands for. So the condition that we're gonna add in our player, it's gonna be circle dot velocity. So the speed of this circle is gonna be jump force combined with vector 2. So it's gonna be vector 2 dot up combined with jump force. So this is pretty much it, how we create our jump. This is all. We have our circle that has a certain speed which is equal to vector up, which is going to the top, going up, combined with jump force, and that's pretty much it. That's our jump. And right now I'm going to show you how it really looks like. So there are some stuff we need to add. Before that, we need to add rigid body 2D. So we have our rigid body in our circle, and we need to give it collider. Give it circle collider 2D. So circle collider 2D stands here because we already have our circle right now, and circle collider is perfect because it's already a circle and we have a circle, and combining these two we have a circle collider and circle sprite, which is ideal. So I'm just gonna select this is trigger box right here because our circle is gonna have a trigger, certain triggers. So remember, playing ColorSwitch, if you hit a color that you're not supposed to hit, your circle is gonna be destroyed, and if you hit a color that you were supposed to hit, you're just gonna pass through. So this is a trigger needed for recognizing if the player has done the right thing or not. So next thing we need to do, we need to drag our rigid body to the player script. So we're just gonna rig, and before that, I'm sorry, we need to modify our gravity scale. The gravity scale is really important. If I leave my gravity scale to be 1, our circle is gonna be falling down really slow, and it's not gonna be as good as it would if we implement it on a bigger scale. So our scale is gonna be 3 for now. So our circle is gonna be falling down really fast because it gives the real feel. It gives you the feel of rush to press jump again and to maintain some force of jump. So right now we're gonna drag this rigid body to player script, and I don't know what this is. And right now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play. So right now I have my ball jumping around, and it really has the jump force that it's supposed to have. And remember, Flappy Bird, you have our bird like it's really falling down this speed. So this is pretty much the speed that we want and the force that we want. And remember, playing also ColorSwitch, your ball is falling exactly like this, and it's jumping on the same force that my ball is jumping. So this is probably the ideal variable that I used for jump force, that is 10F, and my gravity scale modifier is 3. And combining these two, I have my ball jumping smoothly, and the transition between jumps is really good. So thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and see you next lecture when I'm gonna show you further development of this game. Hello and welcome back, guys, on our lecture on how to create iOS game. So in previous lectures, I showed you how to create player movement and how to create player overall. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a circle. As you remember, the ColorSwitch game has a circle that we need to pass through in order to get points. So what you need to do next, you need to have a circle. So basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna provide you with asset for this circle. So you're gonna have 4 assets that consists of 4 circle parts. So every time we can make any circle that we want. So in order to skip a lot of work, in order to skip everything that we do, so we need to make 10 circles, for example, I'm gonna provide you with 4 parts of circle so we can create any type of circle we want. So basically this is what it looks like. So I created 4 circles, 4 ellipses using this tool, and I used the roller tool to separate them. So I created 4 ellipses, and everyone is looking like this. So I created one for pink, for magenta, for yellow, and sky blue. So this is pretty much it what I've done, but I'm gonna provide you with this asset in course description, so you can download it and you can use it freely as the way I'm using it. And you can always create your own circle if you want and make it rotate. It's not really that hard, but this is probably the easiest way you can do. So what we're gonna do now, we're just gonna go to our Unity where we stopped last time, and we're just gonna go assets and import new asset. We're gonna go desktop and select circle. Okay, so okay, this is that circle. So it's pretty much it for this circle thing, and that's all you have to do. You just need to have this one asset, but this asset is PSD file, so it's not GPG or PNG or something else. It's just PSD file. But the good thing with PSD file is that we can have 4 layers imported separately. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm just gonna go to separate this in 4 parts. You need to click on this circle and go to the inspector tab in the right corner. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to sprite mode and select multiple. The reason we do this is because we're gonna integrate this one picture into 4 pictures, into 4 parts. And the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna click the sprite editor, which is right below this extrude edges. So we're gonna click OK and apply. And the next thing we have is we have this picture. So the next thing we're gonna do with this picture is we're gonna slice it. So we're gonna set slice. Okay, just set it automatic because Unity is really awesome when it comes to slicing. It really slices good and provides you with the best asset it can. So we're gonna just gonna hit slice, and it's probably pretty much it for now. It really slices down. So we're just gonna close it and apply. And the next thing when we do is we have 4 slices. So this is really good. So this slice tool works perfectly. So next thing we're gonna do, we're just gonna drag all of these circle parts into this hierarchy so we can have them here so we can manipulate them. I'm just gonna drag all of these. So Unity automatically named them like circles 0, 1, 2, and 3. So you don't even have to deal with it. So this is pretty much it for this lecture on how to create your own circle for this purpose. And it's really easy using Unity. You just need to import your image. You need to go to the sprite renderer options and you need to slice them. And when you slice, you just hit OK, apply, and the Unity automatically saves your circled parts, and you just need to drag them into hierarchy. Thank you for watching, and see you next video where I'm going to show you how to merge all of these parts to get a proper circle and how to set up player to go to them. Thank you for watching and see you next video. Hello and welcome back guys in our lecture on how to create a color switch. So in previous lecture I showed you how to slice your circle into certain parts so we can create a full circle now that is actually rotating and doing something. So for start, let's make a full circle. So the thing you're gonna do right now is you're just gonna drag all of this by clicking W. So we're gonna select the first one, and we're gonna drag it here to the center of this axis. So basically, if you hit the scene view right here, you're gonna have all of these axes right now, so we can modify your assets a bit easier. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna click on yellow part, and we're gonna drag it to the right, to the center of this circle. And basically what we're gonna do now is we're gonna copy X value in the position and transform tab to the pink one. And as we copy to the X value, it's gonna stand on the same value. It's gonna stand on the same position. So we just need to drag it down there and merge it to the blue one. So it looks really good. It looks how it's supposed to look. And we're gonna do the same for the purple one. We're just gonna copy X position and paste it to the purple one and just drag it down there so we can merge everything. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, so right now we have a full circle that we actually wanted to get, and the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create an empty object, and we're gonna name it a full circle. And we're gonna insert all these circle parts inside it. So right now we have an object that is actually consisted of all of these circle parts that makes a whole circle. So we made this way so we can easily modify our circle, so we can easily rotate it without damaging any parts, without doing anything wrong. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna rename all of these circle parts to the proper names, so we can easily change it, we need to constantly refactor our names, refactor our code in order to make it easier to understand to somebody else and to yourself also. If you have a circle 0, 1, 2, and 3, it's not that good. When we make a whole app, we're gonna have much more assets, and we need it to be easier to understand. So that's the reason we're changing names. So we're gonna name this one to blue. We're gonna name this one to yellow. We're gonna name this one part to pink. I know it's not pink, it's magenta, but I'm just gonna name it pink, and I'm gonna name this one to purple. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna rotate it, but it's not gonna rotate good right now because let me demonstrate. You click on the full circle, and when you go to the inspector tab and on the Z axis, if you try to rotate it, it's gonna rotate the wrong way. We don't want it to rotate this way. It's not good. It's not really good. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna reset this to 0, and if we click on this view, like above this hierarchy tab, we have 5 views, and if you click on the 5th view, which is a pivot view, you can easily see where is this position. You can see this one circle that's faded, and that's the pivot of this position. You need to modify it to be in center, so you need to modify this pivot to be in center. So we're gonna click W and check this pivot to be on the center. For example, let's transform its position to 0, 0, and for example 0, and we now need to click on all of these parts, and we need to modify it to be on the pivot. So if you do it this way, I think that the pivot is here. If we merge all of this the proper way, right now if we click on the circle, I think I merged it with pivot, and right now if I click on the full circle, it should rotate the best way possible. Okay, so this is pretty much what we wanted to get. So now if we rotate it, it's gonna rotate it around the pivot, and if you don't get a pivot the right way, it's not gonna work. It's gonna rotate the wrong way, and this is where people make mistakes when it comes to rotation. So it's not really good if you're doing it this way. I'm just gonna set the player to 0 position, so it's in straight line with all of this. So it's really helpful when you turn on the scene view when you're making a game, because you have all of these lines and they help you adjust your position. So that's basically it for this part. So in the next lecture, I'm gonna show you how to make a script to make this circle rotate, and thank you for watching. See you next lecture. Hello and welcome back, guys. In previous lecture I showed you how to make a circle, how to make a full circle, and how to make it actually rotate by Z-axis. So right now you need to get to know that the most important thing that you need to know when it comes to rotation is pivot. So you need to modify pivot to be in center. There are many mistakes that people make in 1,000, and there are about 1,000 questions on Unity friendly asked questions how to make it rotate on center. So many people rotate it by some other axis as I show you, and it really looks ugly. It's not even rotation, it's something else. So the most important thing is pivot, and you find your pivot when you click to the full circle and when you click to the pivot option that is right above hierarchy option. And when above this hierarchy option you have this I think cube, and inside it there is a circle, and that is a pivot. And when you click here, you see pivot of this full circle in circle, because I managed to do it this way. So right now, if you didn't have your pivot in the right position, you wouldn't have a right rotation. And also it is really important for this game, because this game is based on circles, and this game is based on circling. So it's pretty much what you had to do to make the circle rotate the right way and the best way possible. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna create a standard C# script for rotation, and it's not really hard to make, because it consists of only one variable that we change and we give it some force. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the full circle, we're gonna click on the inspector tab to the add component, and we're gonna give it a certain rotation. So we're gonna click, I'm just gonna close the already existing Visual Studio, and we're gonna add component, click rotation, and create a new script. So right now we have a script named rotation, and we're gonna open it. So what we have right now is a standard skeleton of code that we get when you open Unity. And what we need to do now, we need to initialize our rotation speed. So we're gonna set public float rotation speed, that is equal to 100f. What this means is what speed of rotation is gonna be. I set it to be 100f because we need our circle to rotate really fast in order to get a challenging game, because if the rotation speed was really low, it wouldn't be as exciting and challenging as it is. And as we know, the ColorSwitch has the rotation circle that rotates really fast. So this is what we basically need. And the next thing we need to do is we need to enable rotation. So how we're going to do that is we're going to enter transform, and the important thing that you need to know is you don't need this class transform, because it's not what you need. It's not going to transform you. You need this transform that you have right here, transform component, and the difference is that the class transform has big T, and the transform component, when you transform some component, has a small t, and we need this with small t. So this is really important. This is, except the pivot thing, this is the thing that people really mistake that much. So we need to have a small t transform, and we need to transform a rotation. So we're going to transform rotate. This is also a function that we have implemented already when it comes to Unity. And what you're gonna, when you implement rotate function, you have 3 axes, which is x, y, and z axis. So we actually need to rotate this by z axis. So z axis is the one that makes the rotation possible. So we don't need to rotate x axis, so we set 0f. We don't need to rotate y axis, so we set 0f to y. And the third one that we need to rotate is z. So we're gonna select rotation speed. I'm sorry, there's some difficulties. So we're gonna set rotation speed, and we're gonna multiply it by time.delta time. Delta time. And I'm sorry. And the thing why you the reason why you actually multiply this by delta time is because delta time says that your rotation is not going to be frame dependent. It's not going to stop anywhere. It's not dependent on any frame. So it's going to rotate smoothly, and it's going to rotate really good. And this is the function implemented by Unity to make things easier when creating games. So time.delta time is really useful, and keep in mind to use that in order to get a smooth transition between rotations. So this is where we're gonna save this one. Just hit Control S, and now we're gonna play our game to demonstrate the functionality. So right now our circle is rotating the way it should, and it looks really good. This is how it looks and how it should look, and this is exactly the same look as the ColorSwitch game has. The next thing that we will need to do in future is we will need to give collider to all of these sliced parts of circle in order to have collision, and when our ball hits the color, it should be destroyed or it should pass through it, depending what color is it, and we should get some score incrementation. So this is pretty much it for this lecture. I showed you how to rotate this circle and what are the most important components when it comes to rotation. Thank you for watching, and see you next video. Hello, welcome back guys on our lecture on how to create a color switch. So in previous lectures I showed you how can you implement the overall rotation of the circle and how can you implement the jumping and moving of our player. So basically what I did, I included them some certain jump force and the force of the rotation, and it kind of fitted in really good. So the next thing we're gonna do regarding our project is we need to notify our engine when something happens. When the collision happens, we need to get notified so we know what part of the circle was hit in order to give our player certain high score or to kill him. So how we're gonna do that, we're gonna include tag to every one of these parts of circle that we have. So first of all, we need to give them a collision. So we're gonna select all of them right now, and we're gonna add them a component. We're gonna go to Inspector tab, and we're gonna add a component. So click Add Component, click Collider, and we're gonna include the polygon collider right there that we see, and we're gonna click a polygon collider. Polygon collider is the best type of collider for this purpose because it actually fits our overall circle. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna open a player script and we're gonna start some programming. So don't do this inside update function, do this outside the update function. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna create a new method. So we're gonna go void on trigger enter 2D. I'm gonna click enter, and Unity automatically filled my fields. So what this means is when our player hits or enters the trigger, enters some collision, it gets triggered and we get notified. And this collision here is a parameter. So how we're gonna get notified is we're gonna get tag. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna hit debug.log collision.tag, and we're gonna close these brackets. So right now what will happen, we will be notified when our player hits something. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna go to our game, and what you need to do is you need to not maximize this on play. So unpress this if it's pressed already, and click console. Click on our player and play it. So right now, every time our player hits something, we get notified down there, and this is exactly what we wanted to get. So what we're gonna do now is just clear this. We're gonna go to full circle, and we're gonna select this untagged one, and we're gonna add tags. So first tag that we're gonna add is gonna be blue. The second tag that we need is gonna be yellow. The fourth tag that we need is gonna be pink, and the last tag that we need is gonna be purple. So we're just gonna add tags to all of these circle parts that we have. So we're gonna set a blue one to blue, yellow one to yellow, pink one to pink, pink one to pink, and purple one to purple. So that's pretty much it. So now when we play it, we're gonna get notified something else, like blue, 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 yellow, yellow. When it hits purple, it's gonna get purple. So if we hit again a pink one, we're gonna get notified that it's pink. And that's pretty much what we need, what we wanted to get. We wanted to get a notification when something happens. For example, if we hit blue, that we hit blue, so we can manipulate our objects a little bit better in the future. So thank you for watching, and that's it for tagging. See you in next lecture, where I'm gonna explain more and more to you when it comes to collisions. Hello and welcome back, guys. In this lecture I'm gonna show you how can you randomize our colors. So for start, we're gonna randomize the color that our player gets. So every time our player really starts a game, he's gonna have a random color, which actually happens when you play ColorSwitch. We have random range between 4 colors. It's case 0, 1, 2, and 3. So those are the 4 cases that we have regarding this game. And every time the player starts playing, he gets a random color. So we need 4 random variables for 4 random colors. And that's exactly what we're gonna do using C# script. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna open player script. And the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna create a public string variable that is called current color. And we're just gonna leave it like this. And in start, we're gonna also put something that happens when we start the game. So when we start the game, we want to get the random color. So we're gonna set a function here that calls set random color. We're just gonna leave it, but we don't have anything in this function called set random color because it really doesn't even exist right now. So we're gonna create it. We're gonna go void set random. It's called like this, set random color. Just gonna close these brackets, and we're just gonna open one more bracket. So inside of these brackets, we're gonna set a random range between 4 numbers. So this range will go from 0 to 3, like 0, 1, 2, 3, and those are the 4 cases. And how we're gonna do that is we're gonna create a new random variable. It's called random, and I'm just gonna name it rand, and I'm gonna set it to be equal to random dot range, and inside of these brackets you're gonna set 0 to 3. And this is exactly what happens. It's gonna give you a random color between 0 and 3. And right now what you're gonna do to implement this randomization is you're gonna use switch. And switch is a command that you use when you actually want something to be in cases. So for example, you can have as many cases as you want while using switch function. So right now if I set, like, for example, case 0 to be blue, case 1 to be yellow, case 2 to be pink, and case 3 to be purple, it's gonna work perfectly. And we could also implement this using if command. So if, for example, random equals 1, the color is blue. Else if random equals 2, it's like pink, and if rand is equal to 3, it's gonna be purple. But we're not gonna use that, we're gonna use switch. So we're just gonna write switch and rand. So inside we're gonna open brackets, and inside of these brackets we're gonna write case 0, and we're gonna set a column, and inside this we're gonna set current color to be equal to blue, and semicolon. And you need to set break, because break is the end of every case. So if you don't put break, the case won't finish. So the only way to finish our case is to set break, so you can break our function actually. And the next thing we're gonna do is gonna be case 1, which we're gonna say current color is equal to yellow, and we're gonna break this one too, so it stops. And we're gonna set case 2. I'm sorry, I kind of messed this up. Okay, case 2 that is equal to current color is, now what is the third color? It's pink. Okay, it's pinky. And case 3, I didn't break this one. You see, when I don't break, the case only continues, and if I hit break right now, it's gonna close, I think, all of our cases. So I need to close this case with break. That's really important. And case 3 is equal to current color equals to purple. So I need to break this one too. So I think I'm done programming right now with this one. I'm just gonna hit Control Save, and I'm gonna play this game. So right now our player has current color. As you can see in our player script right there in Inspector tab, we have current color. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna play and see if current color changes. So I'm gonna play, and of course our current color is now pink. And if I close this one and play it again, our current color is gonna be pink again, because it randomized it by accident. But if I play again, it's gonna be pink. Okay, so if I play it again, it's gonna be yellow. Okay, that was a really bad accident. I got pink 3 times. So right now it's gonna be pink again. So if I play it again, it's gonna be like blue, and etc. So every time it's gonna randomize the color. So right now we kind of implemented our skeleton, what happens when we randomize, and the biggest part, like coding, was done. The next thing we're gonna do is, in next lecture, we're gonna implement a real color, and we're gonna apply it to our player. So thank you guys for watching, and see you in next video. Hello and welcome guys on our lecture on how to create actually colored player. So in previous lecture I showed you how to assign variables and how to assign randomization between all of these colors, and what I'm going to show you now is how to create an overall color when it comes to our game. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to open player, and right in player what we need right now is we need to assign a sprite renderer, which is going to render our colors. So actually this is what allows us to attach colors to our players. So first thing we're gonna do, you're gonna enter public sprite render. This is exactly the same as a rigid body. As we gave rigid body to our circle, we're just gonna give our sprite renderer to our character. Also, and just gonna leave it like this, like name it whatever you want. I'm gonna just leave it SR, which stands for sprite renderer. And now we need to assign 4 variables for 4 different colors, because C# actually has a color function which will grant us ability to actually build a color inside of our engine, and I'm gonna show you later how it works. For now, I'm just gonna write public color blue, public color yellow, public color pink, and it's not gonna, this doesn't mean that it's gonna paint our colors to be blue, yellow, and pink. I'm just gonna arrange what colors do I want, so it will be pretty easy to do. I'm gonna show you how. Just follow my steps. Public color purple. So what we're gonna do next is we need to assign all of these colors inside our cases. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna go to case 0 and enter SR color equals to blue, and this is gonna be blue color when we arrange it inside of our engine later. SR.color equals to yellow, and the third one is SR color is equal to, what is the third color, man? Pink. Yeah. And fourth option is we're gonna set SR color that is equal to purple. And that's pretty much it for this one. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our player. Inside of our hierarchy, we're gonna click player and go to the inspector tab. And as you can see right now, in this player script, we have blue, yellow, pink, and purple colors. And these are the actual colors, but now they're not just modified. So we need to find a proper color. So just click on this black thing that you see here and click on this pen that you have. Clicking this pen, you are granted the ability to go to blue area. And just click this blue area, and after clicking this blue area, you're gonna have a blue color that you actually want inside of your blue option in blue bar. And just click this A function that you see you have RGB and A. You need to drag this A1 to the white side so your color is gonna be bright. And you need to repeat this 3 more times for every color. So click on the yellow one, click on this pen, and after clicking this pen you need to click on this yellow one and just drag A to the white side. So repeat this 2 more times. We're gonna click to the pen, again click on this pink color, whatever is this is magenta, but whatever, we don't really care. So actually we're gonna save this one too, and we're gonna click on the last color and click on this pen, drag it to the white side, save it, and this is gonna work perfectly. And the last thing we need to do is we need to drag this sprite renderer that we have inside of our player. So drag sprite renderer to the SR that we have, sprite renderer here. This is exactly why we named our sprite renderer variable SR inside of player script, so we can match our sprite renderer inside of this. So next time we play, we're gonna have a randomized color, and that's pretty much it. So right now we have a pinky ball that we actually implemented and really needed to have. So this is pretty much how you make a randomized color, and the Unity really provides with a lot of tools to make a lot of things easier. So there are no many things left on how to make this game. Just we need to implement depth of our character, how it grants points, etc. So we're just gonna play this one more time to demonstrate you the randomization. Again, this pink one, what's happening with pink colors. Okay, just a second, it's pink again. Okay, this is blue now. I have something with this pink color, it's always pink, like I didn't even randomize it. Okay, and I'm gonna play it again and it's gonna be yellow. Okay, thank you for watching guys, and see you next video. And welcome back guys on our lecture on how to create a color switch. So in previous lectures we kind of modified our players, so every time our player passes through some color, we get notified what color did he pass, and every time we start a game all over again, we get a random color attached to our players. So depending on a random factor, it's gonna be blue, yellow, pink, or purple, etc. So what we need to do next is we need to get notified when our player dies, actually. So every time we pass through a wrong color, so when the color of the circle is not matching our player color, our player is gonna die. So we're just gonna hop to our player's script, and one more thing before we continue is this random range of numbers that we set, which is going from 0 to 3, is not fully correct because the size of the array is greater than the index of the very last element when it comes to C#. So we're just gonna set a 4 here for the future development, for the sake of future development, so we won't have any mistakes in future. And this is really good to do and to know, and this is a good tip. So let's hop back to our collision. So every time our player hits the wrong color, he's gonna die. So what we do next is we're just gonna go write a simple if statement that says if collision dot tag is different than the current color, we're just gonna die. So debug dot log, you died, like in Dark Souls. So every time the current color of our player is not equal to the color that we're touching, like the color that we're hitting, he's just gonna die. We're gonna get notified that he died. So this is pretty basic and simple. So we're just gonna hit Control S, and we're gonna go to our game, and we're gonna play our game. Okay, just one more thing, I forgot, you need to turn on your console to see what's actually happening here. So we're gonna play it, and if I pass through purple color, I'm not gonna get notified right here. Okay, I passed through a purple one and I'm not notified, and as soon as I touch blue one, yellow one, or pink one, I just get a log here that says you died. And this is actually what we wanted to implement. So this is pretty basic and easy to do. So in next lecture, I'm gonna show you how you get a camera to follow you, because right now when we play a game, the camera is not following us. The camera is static and it's staying on only one side. So it's showing us and displaying us only this circle and this central area. But we need our camera to follow our guy in order to have a complete and functional game. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next video. Hello and welcome back, guys, on our lecture on how to create a color switch. So basically what we have to do right now is we need to make our camera follow our guy. So right now if we play it, the camera is staying on one place, so it's only showing the central area right here. So we don't have any change when it comes to movement of the camera. And what we want to do now is we want our camera to follow our guy on y-axis. So when I say y-axis, it's really important to know that our game is actually based on y-axis. So everything that happens in our game is happening on y-axis, except the circles, because they're circling on set. But y-axis is the one that's really important for this game, because if we imagine the coordinate system, the plus y-axis is when our player is actually rising above, when it's jumping and going up, and the minus y-axis is when our player is falling down, so it's when he's going to the bottom. But if the player is going to the bottom, is if he's falling to the y-axis, he's actually gonna die. So if he pushes to the limit, so if he goes beyond the limit when the camera is showing in our game, the player is gonna die, and the camera is not gonna follow him, because when he passes through the bottom level of our camera, he dies. And that is why our y-axis is so important. So we're only gonna modify the follow of camera on plus y-axis, because if the player goes down, he actually dies. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new script in main camera that is called a follow. So if we hit enter twice, we're just gonna have our basic script that Unity provides us with, and we're gonna open it. I'm just gonna reload all, because if you don't reload all, you're not gonna have all of your Unity functions, and you're not gonna reload the current project. And what we're gonna do now, we're gonna initialize a field for our player. So we're gonna go public transform player. So what this basically does is it provides you the field in your camera script so you can connect your player with your script that is bound to a main camera. So what we're gonna do now in void update, so we're gonna update a position where the camera is actually positioned. So right now we're gonna set an if statement. So if player that position dot y is greater than the transform dot position dot y, we're gonna do next. So what this basically does is, if the player has overcome the position that the camera is showing on that central position, we're gonna do next thing. So right now we're gonna go transform to dot position, which is equal to new vector 3. So vector 3 is allowing us to manipulate all of the 3 axes, which is axis X, axis Y, and axis Z. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna define what happens inside of these brackets. And what happens inside of these brackets is exactly how we're gonna make our camera follow the player. So we're gonna set transform dot position dot X, player dot position dot Y, and transform dot position dot Z. So if you don't write a Z here, what that should be, our camera is gonna go to the wrong direction. And if you mess any of these parameters here, you're not gonna get our proper follow. So what actually this does, it's following our player. So it's following our player on exactly the y-axis that we wrote here. So we actually defined that our player position is on y-axis and the camera should follow that position when we bind it with our script in main camera. So and this one, what it does, it says that if the player has passed, for example, the position, do next, and next is the one statement in the bottom level. So I'm just gonna hit Control Save, and I'm gonna go to main camera. I'm sorry, I don't have my field right here to, probably because I didn't save anything. Sometimes Unity gets buggy, so everything needs to load from start. Okay, I should have my, okay, I have my player tab right here. So I'm just gonna connect my player with the main camera script that I have here, and I'm gonna play it. So when I play it right now, I should get followed by camera, exactly. So this really works perfectly, and as you can see, if I start falling, the camera won't follow me, because if I fall below this level, I'm just gonna die, and which is what we're gonna implement in future. So thank you guys a lot for watching, and see you next video. Welcome back, guys. In this lecture, we're gonna create a color switcher. So every time our player passes through certain dot, his color is gonna get changed. So if you remember from original game, we have that small dot that every time the player passes through it, the player gets the random color on its dot. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. And the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create an 2D object, and we're gonna go to create 2D object sprite, and we're gonna name it color changer, and we're gonna hit enter. So also we're gonna add a tag, so we're gonna add a new tag called color changer, and we're actually gonna add that tag to our player, to our color changer, sorry. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go to sprite. I'm just gonna pull this one up. That's actually our, it's actually our sprite. Educational purposes. So right now we're gonna click on this color changer, and we're gonna attach this material to this sprite one. And as you can see right now, we have our color changers, just it's a little bit big right now, so I'm gonna reduce its size by half. So you're gonna go to transform tab, and you're just gonna write 0.5, or not, I'm gonna increase the size to be 0.7 maybe. Okay, this one's fine. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna add a circle collider with this, so we can have a trigger upon some collision. So I'm gonna include a circle collider, and I'm gonna reduce the radius of this collider so it will fit it perfectly. So I'm gonna set, for example, 0.23, but it doesn't really matter as our dot is only moving to the 1 point on the y-axis. So even if the radius was 0.1, it wouldn't really matter. So we will always hit it because our dot is always moving at the same direction. The next thing happens. So what happens now is we set the random color by the function that we recently wrote, that we have here, which sets the actual random color. So we just use this one. And next thing that we're going to use is that we're going to destroy that ball after we collide with it. So destroy upon collision. So destroy collision dot game object. So that's pretty much it. And we need to write return, because if we don't write return now, the code is gonna continue compiling and we're just gonna end our game. It will just be you died. So in order to not die, we're just gonna hit return here. And I'm gonna set this as a comment because I want to demonstrate you how this functions right now when we play the game. So I'm gonna play the game right now. I'm gonna hit play. And as I pass through this ball, my color is being changed, and if I pass again, it's being changed, etc, etc. I get multiple colors on the random factor. So if I go back to my script and delete this one comment and click save, right now I'm gonna destroy this object upon collide. Welcome back, guys, on our lecture how to make a color switch. So in previous lectures we kind of developed logic of everything. Like we developed how can we switch colors when we pass through something, what do we get then, etc. So right now what we're gonna do is gonna be a color switch end. So when we actually hit something that we're not supposed to hit, we're just gonna load the game again. So you can actually die right now. What we're gonna do is an actual death of our player and reload of the actual level. So how we're gonna do that is we're just gonna load the scene again that we're on when we mess up. So I'm just gonna show you. Okay, in order to do that, I'm going to multiply some of these circles to make a game more challenging, for example. So I'm gonna raise this up. I'm gonna copy this color changer again. I'm gonna raise it up again a little bit, and I'm sorry, this is not the thing I wanted to do. Okay, I'm just gonna click on a full circle again and copy it here, and I'm gonna copy it again and make it a bit bigger, for example, to be like 1.5, 1.5, 1.5. Okay, and what we could do more, yeah, we could change the rotation speed to be like minus 100, and we can play it now to see how it looks. Okay, players here, we're jumping. Okay, there's other circle, okay, or changing color. Okay, and that's pretty much how the game looks. So right now we're gonna go to player, script, and we're gonna include one library, which is using Unity engine dot scene management, and this is scene management library, but we actually have it included because we included everything that Unity engine has. But you know, in case you did not, you can just include this one so you can switch the scenes the best way possible and you won't have any problems. So what we're gonna do now is when we die, we want something to happen, and that is this new scene should be loaded. So there is one thing we should code one right now in order to finish our game. So scene manager dot load scene, and scene manager dot get active scene, and build index. Okay, this build index is really needed because we need to build a proper index, proper number that we have. And what this basically does, it loads the active scene again. So when something triggers it, when something happens, it's gonna load this first scene that we have right now. So I'm gonna go to Unity again and I'm gonna play this one. So if I kind of miss it, I'm just gonna get loaded again. So if I pass through this one, okay, I messed it. So if I, oh, come on man, I suck. Okay, if I pass through one of these, okay, oh man, so you get what I did. Like everything functions the best way possible. Like this is how the actual game looks like, and this is the logic of our overall game. So I kind of implemented everything that I wanted. So this is all logic has been done. So in next lectures, I'm more about showing you how can you polish this game more and how to make a high score. So every time you pass through one of these, you can have a better score, etc. So it really looks like the original game itself. Like we have all of these circling and challenging circles. Some of the circles are circling faster inside of the others, etc. So this is pretty much it for this lecture. See you next lecture, guys. We're gonna polish this game, and we're gonna set up high score and many other stuff. Thank you for watching, and see you next video. Hello and welcome back, guys. So in this lecture I'm gonna show you how to create a score. So we're gonna create a score by using a collider. So every time our player actually collides with something inside of this circle, we're gonna get a score incrementation. So we're gonna get a score incremented by 1. And next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a text. So we're gonna set a score variable that it is gonna stand in the left top corner. So it's gonna be displayed on how big our score is. And every time we die, we're gonna reset that score. And first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new game object, and we're gonna go to 2D object and sprite. So we're gonna name this sprite a scored. So why did I name this score? It is because every time he passes through this, he's gonna get a score incrementation. So I'm just gonna write it to be a scored, and I'm gonna go to sprite renderer, and I'm gonna change the shape of this. So I'm gonna set it to be maybe a knob sprite. Okay, and I'm gonna pull this to the middle. Okay. And I'm just going to change a color of this to be maybe a grayish, so it won't make so big a color difference when it comes to this. So it will look nicely regarding to our background that we have. And I'm just going to close this. Okay. And I'm going to add a circle collider. So this is really important. If we did not have a circle collider, we could never collide with it. It would be just an empty sprite. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a game object, go to UI, and open this text. So what this is a text that we're gonna have. So for example, if I click on this right now, if I double click this, it's gonna be displayed as this. So do not misunderstand this with your canvas. This is actually your screen. This thing that has all of these borders. It's your screen. Don't resize this one that you have this. Don't resize this text and try to put it here into this small circle where all of our objects are. Don't do that. You just need to manipulate this one to be standing on our screen. So this is our screen. So what you're gonna do is you're just gonna unzoom this one and set it to be anywhere. So for example, here's where our player is gonna be. This is the center, and we're just gonna drag this to the top left corner. Okay, and go to the inspector tab and change the color to white because it needs to make a difference. Like if we set it to be like this one, like black, it wouldn't be good. So we're gonna set it to be white, and we're gonna go to font style and set it to be bold. So what we're gonna do now is we're just gonna import a import a font. So we won't use this font. So actually I'm gonna do this in educational purposes. You could use this Arial font, it's not that bad at all, but I think the maximum size of this font is like 25 when it comes to Unity. So I'm just gonna import some other font, and I'm just gonna attach it to description so you can always download it and use it for free. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to assets, import new asset, desktop, and of course I'm gonna find it. Okay, it's this digital, and I'm gonna import it. So here it is. Well, now we have this font right here, and if we click to our text that we recently created, we can just drag and drop this font to this font field that we have here where our Arial font is. So I'm just gonna leave it here, and I'm just gonna change this text to be like 0 because we haven't scored anything recently. So I'm gonna increase the size of it to be like 30, and I'm gonna play it. So as I play it, you can notice that our score is gonna be on the top left side because this is our screen, not this here. So I'm gonna play it, and as you can see, we have our 0 score. So right now nothing really changes inside of this because we haven't implemented anything. So what we're gonna do in future is we're gonna set a collision. So next time we pass through this to this one and make a collision with this knot, we're gonna have a score incrementation. And I once again repeat, if you have problems with this, do not try to resize it. If I try to fit this one inside of my canvas, it won't work. So this is where you manipulate your score in this screen. So thank you for watching, and in next video we're gonna continue on making score and actually implement our score incrementation. Thank you for watching. Hello and welcome back, guys, in our lecture on how to create a color switch. So what we need to do is we need to implement a score. So what we're gonna do next is we need to add tag to our scores. So next time we actually collide with something, we need to meet our player with the collision. So right now we're gonna go to hierarchy tab and click on this chord that we created, on this chord knot. So we're gonna go to inspector tab, and inside of this inspector tab we have tag. So we're gonna select add tag. We're gonna create a new tag called scored. We're gonna hit enter, go to our scored knot again in hierarchy section, and add a scored tag here. So that's pretty much how we do that to make our engine know what he's doing, to make a collision possible using tags. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go to our Visual Studio. So we're gonna open our Visual Studio and our player script. I did this on purpose using one script to make it easier. So it's not really a big game. It's only a tiny game. So there was no need for many scripts. So I usually use the player one as my main script. So what we're gonna do next is we need to include a library. So next time we declare a variable that is a text variable, it's not possible to do that if you don't have this library. It's like Unity, using that Unity engine.ui close brackets. So we're gonna create two new variables that are gonna be public static and score equals to 0, and public text score text close. So the first one is the one that holds our score. So every time we start, we're gonna have a score here. So that score is gonna be a 0. and we have a public text variable that is a score text. So in this public text variable, we need to drag our text object, our text UI that we created recently in Unity using engine. So how we're gonna do that is, in future, we're just gonna drag this one with this text into our player script. That is I'm just gonna find it. Okay, I need to save this one so this might become visible. Okay, so which is located here, and we're just gonna drag a text into our score text, and everything's gonna be merged. So what we're gonna do next is we need to convert our string into the integer. So every time we need to convert our text into our string. So how we're gonna do that is we're gonna go to our update function. So do not put this one before our control buttons, because this one will be executed first and we won't be able to move using our mouse or tapping. So what we're gonna do next is we're just gonna type score text equals to score dot to string. Okay, so this is how we converted everything so we can use it inside our engine. And basically what this does, it converts it to string, so we can actually use it, because it wouldn't be possible to use it if we didn't convert it like it's something really logical. And this is how you actually convert this basic command. So what we need to do now is we need to set up our collision. So how we're gonna do that, we're just gonna simply write f collision dot tag equals to scored. That is a tag that we implemented recently. Our score is gonna be incremented by 1, and we're gonna destroy that knot because we don't want our game to have any bugs, because if we did not destroy that knot, we could just get an infinite score by hitting just one knot. So because I'm gonna write destroy collision dot game object. Okay, and we're gonna write return. Okay, so we're just gonna save this one, and one more thing is we're just gonna play it to see if it actually works right now. So I'm gonna go to player, and I'm gonna drag our text into our player script and here into our score text field. Just drop it here and click save to our Visual Studio, Control S, and we're gonna play it. So right now we're just gonna see if it changes. Okay, it really changes. So what we see now is our score is not even resetting. So what we need to do is we need to reset our score after we actually die. So I in purpose I did this not to be the same color as background to make this game look more identical to real one. So what I'm gonna do now is we're just gonna go to Visual Studio. So we need to reset our score after we die. It's really easy. You're just gonna go to our die statement here that we made. So everything after this happens, if he hits the wrong color, the score is gonna get resetted. So score equals to 0, and just hit Control S. So I'm just gonna play it right now to see if it works. Okay, so as we can see, our score is resetted, and we actually have our score implemented. So right now when we die, our score gets back to the 0, and after we play further, our score is gonna get incremented every time we hit the knot that we actually tagged with scored. So thank you guys a lot for watching, and see you in next video. Hello and welcome back, guys. So in previous lectures we kind of settled in everything, like we created functionality of our game. So every time we pass through our right color and touch our knob, we're gonna get the score incrementation, and every time we hit the wrong color, we're gonna die. So what we need to create now is a prefab. What is a prefab? Prefab is a reusable asset in Unity. So it is many game objects merged into one with certain functionality. Prefab is usually used for sake, like, so we don't have to create many assets with the same functionality. We just merge many objects into one object, and it has a certain functionality in order to obtain something. So how we're gonna do that is this way. we're going to click to our full circle that we have. This is a first circle that we have, and we're just going to drag our scored knob into our full circle. So right now we have created a prefab, and prefab of this is a functional circle with knob inside it that increments our score. So how I'm going to demonstrate you the functionality of this is I'm going to remove the full circle that we have, this second full circle, and I'm just going to hit delete, and I'm going to copy this circle up there. I'm just going to drag it up there. Okay, so I'm going to play it right now. So basically what this does is it copies the whole game object that has many other game objects inside of it and gives it the same functionality, and the scripts work perfectly. And I'm just going to create a prefab right here, folder called prefabs, and I'm just going to insert full circle here into this prefab one, and I'm just going to insert this color one inside of this and circle one inside of this. And so we have everything in this prefab folder. So why is this prefab really important? Why is it more functional than just creating a single knob and dragging it into circle? Is because we're gonna create an infinite game. So as you can remember, ColorSwitch is kind of an infinite game. So if we needed to drag knobs into circles all over again, it wouldn't really be possible to create an infinite game, so infinite scroller game. So this actually allows us to create as many circles with functionalities as we want. In order to do that is we just create a simple prefab and copy it all over again, and it's gonna spawn and spawn and spawn as long as we're playing and obtaining any score. So thank you guys for watching, and see you next videos where we're gonna actually create an infinite game. Thank you for watching.
Hello guys, and welcome back. So our ColorSwitch game is going pretty nicely. We can, if we run the game, we have a score, we have this rotating obstacle, and we can only pass through if our ball is the same color. Now if we enter in the center, we get score, and also if we pick up the color switcher, we switch colors. So currently the full circle is the object that is rotating, and it has all of these colors that have different colliders, and then it has a scored game object, which is when it is picked up by the player, gives us +1 score. This full circle is a prefab. We can see it in our prefabs folder. If we click this drop down here, we can see it has all of these game objects as it had previously. So what I'm going to do now is, the way it's set up is we have only 3 obstacles, and if you were to go through all of these obstacles, you would have no more game to play. But we're going to create a script that will randomly generate these obstacles each time we enter this circle. So let's go ahead and go to our player, and he has the player script here. Let's just open it up in Visual Studio. And here we want to get the collision when we score. So if he scores, we want to increase our score, and then we want to destroy the scored game object. And also what I want to do here is I want to create another of these rotating prefabs. So what I'm going to do is, in this script, I'm going to create, let me just go back to my ColorSwitch script. I'm going to create a public game object, and I will call this obstacle. Let me just switch the language of the keyboard here. There we go. Okay, and now I want to instantiate the obstacle when we score, but we need to figure out our positions. So our player is currently on the y -4 position, and this obstacle here is on y0, and this one is on, let me just see, this one is on y6. So we want to create a new object once we enter this one. I'm going to show you now. So as soon as we enter this chord, we want to instantiate the object that we are creating is the obstacle. we are creating it at the transform.position.y of the player, and plus, let's say 5f as a floating number, and let's just get the quaternion rotation. Actually, we can just say transform.rotation. Transform.position. Let's say this dot transform.position. Let's go ahead and we can do it like this. We have to say a new vector 2. We want a 2D vector because this is a 2D game, and for the x we'll just say transform.position.x. So the x will always be the same, but for the y we want to say transform.position.y and plus 5f. There we go. So let's go ahead and check to see if this actually works. So now if I save this and if I just disable this circle here and these above, and if I run my game now, there is nothing above, you can see. Let me just, I forgot to go to the player, and obstacle, under obstacle in the inspector, just drag and drop our full circle there. And now we should be able to see, if I just position the game view here and the scene view here, if I run the game, you can see in the scene view we only have one of these obstacles rotating. But now if I enter here, you can see another one appeared, but he appeared too closely. So no problem, we can fix that really easily. Go back to our script, and instead of 5, let's say 7. I think that is a good number. 7. Let's check it out how it works now. Okay, so let's grab the score. Okay, we can see another one appeared up there. Let me just try and actually get to it. I'm just going to decrease the jump force of the player so I can control him easier. Like this, it's too difficult for me. Okay, there we go, much easier. You can see a new one has been created. We switch colors, and now I'm going to pass through it, and another one has been created. Great, so now we really easily have infinitely spawning obstacles. But there's another thing that we need to create. It is, you can see now I passed. We have obstacles that generate into infinity, but the problem is we don't have the colors. We're not getting the new colors updated. So we're going to create that as well really quickly. So it's going to work the same way this did. I'm going to select the color changer, the one on the top, and just disable it because we won't be needing it. And I'm just going to go back to my script, ColorSwitch, and here we have the color changer collision tag. So as soon as we collide, we set a new random color, and then we destroy that game object. After that is done, we want to again instantiate a color changer. But first we need to get a reference to it. So let's say public game object color changer. And now when we collide with one of those, we just say instantiate color changer on the new vector 2 position. For the x, I will say transform.position.x of the player, and for the y, we'll say transform.position.y, and let's try to add 7 to it, and the rotation will be transform.rotation. Okay, let's go ahead and check to see if this works, but first don't forget we need to select our player, and under the color changer in the inspector we need to add our color changer. In my case it's just let me just create a prefab. Since we don't have a prefab out of this, just drag and drop it to this to the editor. Select our player, go to color changer, and just drag and drop our color changer. So now if I run the game, you can see the only thing we have in our scene is our obstacle and our color changer. But as soon as I enter the circle, a new obstacle has been created. Oops, sorry, I died. So a new obstacle is created, and as soon as I pick up the color changer, you can see up there on the, just pause it, here we got a new color changer created. And if I drop this down, our hierarchy, you can see that we actually have new color changers and new Oops, I did it again. Okay, so that's working perfectly. We can also see that the score is incrementing as we're playing. Okay, you can see I'm changing colors, and these are being generated infinitely. I have a score of 2. I got the same color now. There you go, works really fine. Nice. Okay, so this has been a simple tutorial on how to infinitely generate these things. You can see that it's really nothing too difficult. It's actually pretty easy, and you can have a ton of different varieties with this. For example, you can create multiple prefabs out of this one, and then have them randomly spawn. You will see that in a later lecture with Flappy Bird, we'll have different obstacles that are being spawned randomly. So one of, let's say, 4 obstacles is being chosen randomly to be spawned. You can do the same thing here. For example, you could have a double circle that we had previously, but I wanted you to do that on your own. So that's a homework for you guys. Do that on your own. And in the next lecture, we'll be creating a main menu and polishing up our game. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next lecture. Welcome back. So in this lecture, I want to show you how we can generate in our ColorSwitch game different shapes. Currently, if we run our game, you'll see we only generate this shape. Let's go ahead and if we pick up the color switcher, we just generate the same shape, but what we want to do is actually have different sizes of these shapes. So let's go ahead and select the full circle, and I'm going to duplicate it. Duplicate, and let's call it smaller circle. Oops, doesn't matter. I'm going to select it now, press W and move it upwards. Then I'm going to resize it. There we go. And now I'm going to create a prefab by simply dragging and dropping this into my assets folder. And now I will remove it from the scene. Let's now go ahead and go back to our script. There we go. And here you can see when we collide with something, and if that is the color changer, we want to instantiate a new obstacle. So yeah, if you pick the score, we want to instantiate a new obstacle here. Now we're going to change this code here. So we want to have multiple obstacles, and the best way to go ahead and do that is to create an array of game objects. Basically, an array of game objects, you can place multiple game objects within that array. So if we simply add these brackets here, that means that this is of type array. But if we go ahead and go back to our inspector, you will see that this hasn't updated. Well, that is because we have a few issues. You can see instantiate now cannot create the obstacle because we want to create just the obstacle. But this is an array of obstacles, which means it has multiple game objects inside of it. So it doesn't know which one to instantiate. By default, the first game object in an array, or the first unit in an array is going to be the 0th unit. Let's go ahead and do it like this. So we want to instantiate, and from the obstacle array, the 0th obstacle. Now if I save this and go back into Unity, you will see that the player script has indeed updated. You can see obstacle now has a drop down, and the size is currently 0. I'm going to set it to 2. And now we have 2 elements. You can see element 0, I'm going to set it to be our basic circle, and element 1 is going to be our smaller circle. And now you can see here instantiate obstacle 0 is referring to the element 0, which is full circle. And now, before we actually go ahead and generate any of these, we want to create a random number. So int random number equals to random dot range, and I want to generate from 0 to 2. 2 is not included here, so this will give us a number which is 0 or 1. And if random number is equal to 0, we're going to go ahead and instantiate the obstacle 0. Oops. Else we will instantiate the same line of code, but instead of obstacle 0, we're going to have obstacle 1 here. Sorry. There we go, obstacle 1. Alright. Save the script, and now let's go back into Unity. And if I run our game now, we should be able to see this in action. Let's go ahead, and our score is increasing. And you can see we have the smaller circle up here already. So now, oops, I died. You can go ahead and add as many different shapes as you want into your array. Simply just go to your player, add your elements here, then generate the random number, and depending on what the number is, you're going to generate that obstacle. But you should also keep in mind that the position, you should keep the Y position in mind, because you need to calculate the distance between the obstacles. So for the smaller obstacle, 7 is probably too much, so let's set it to 5. And we can go ahead and see how that looks in our game. Alright, we got the same obstacle, doesn't matter. And there, we still got the same one. And there we go, we have the smaller one. And I died again. When implementing things like this, you really need to play around and figure out which is the best optimization, what are the best numbers. But I'll leave that to you guys now that you know how to do this. Thank you for watching, and see you in a next lecture. Goodbye.